It was a bright Sunday morning in Flagstaff, Arizona, and the familiar scent of bacon and fresh coffee drifted out of the Ridgeview Diner, a small but beloved roadside restaurant. Locals filled the booths as usual, chatting, reading newspapers, and enjoying the calm of the weekend. Among the regulars was Evelyn Carter, a 72-year-old deaf woman who visited the diner every Sunday after church. Dressed in her soft lavender sweater, hair pinned neatly, and her small notebook tucked in her purse, she was known for her gentle smile and warm presence. But on this particular morning, something felt different the moment she stepped out of her old blue Buick. A group of teenagers, troublemakers who often loitered around the parking lot, noticed her arrival. Their leader, Kyle, tall, loud, and always eager to impress his friends, nudged the boy next to him. "Watch this," he sneered, pulling out his phone. Evelyn didn't hear their footsteps approaching, but she sensed movement around her. When she turned, Kyle waved his hands erratically in front of her face, mocking sign language. His friends burst into laughter. Evelyn flinched, her heart racing in confusion. She tried to sign, "Please let me pass," but they only laughed harder. Kyle stepped in front of her, blocking her path to the diner door. Another boy began recording, holding his phone high as if capturing a spectacle. "Smile for the camera, Grandma," he shouted, fully aware she couldn't hear him. Evelyn felt her chest tighten. She clutched her purse close and tried again to move, but Kyle snatched her notebook, the one she relied on to communicate, and tossed it aside like trash. It landed in a puddle, pages soaking instantly. Her eyes widened, the sting of humiliation cutting deep. That notebook wasn't just paper, it was her voice. Inside the diner, a few people noticed the commotion and began moving toward the door, but they weren't fast enough. The teenagers laughed louder as Evelyn bent down to retrieve her notebook, her trembling hands brushing mud from its soaked cover. Tears welled in her eyes. She tried to steady her breathing, but the silent sobs escaped anyway. She felt small, powerless, and painfully alone. Then the sound began. A low, thunderous rumble, distant at first, then growing stronger. The bullies didn't pay attention at first, assuming it was just another truck passing by. But Evelyn looked up, sensing the vibration in the ground. Moments later, the source appeared. 10 massive Harley-Davidsons turned the corner, chrome shining beneath the Arizona sun. The thunder of their engines filled the parking lot, turning heads inside the diner and freezing the teenagers in place. Leading the group was Bishop, the respected president of the Iron Guardians Motorcycle Club. They had been riding through town for a charity event and planned to stop at Ridgeview for brunch, but what they saw changed everything. Bishop cut his engine and stepped off his bike, eyes narrowing as he saw Evelyn's tears and the teens, phones pointed at her. "You boys wanna tell me what's going on here?" he asked, voice calm but dangerous. And just like that, the entire atmosphere shifted. The air turned heavy as Bishop stepped closer, his tall frame casting a shadow over the trembling teenagers. Behind him, the rest of the Iron Guardians dismounted, men and women with weathered faces, leather jackets patched with years of brotherhood, and eyes sharp enough to cut glass. The teens exchanged nervous glances. The laughter they'd carried just moments ago had evaporated completely. Bishop knelt beside Evelyn, gently picking up her soaked notebook. "Ma'am," he said softly, "did they do this to you?" Evelyn looked at him with tear-filled eyes and nodded slowly. She signed, "Thank you," her hands still shaky. One of the bikers, Maddie, who knew basic sign language from having a deaf cousin, knelt beside her and translated. "She's scared." They took her notebook and mocked her. The bullies stiffened when Bishop turned his glare toward them. "You think picking on someone who can't hear you makes you tough?" he asked, his voice low, steady, far more intimidating than if he had shouted. Kyle swallowed hard. His bravado was gone. "We didn't mean." "Stop," Bishop said, raising a hand. "Don't lie. You meant every second of it." Another biker, Tank, stepped behind the teens, his enormous frame enough to make them step backward. "Maybe we should let the sheriff watch that video you filmed," he suggested. Kyle's face drained of color. "Please, don't call the police." Bishop crossed his arms. "You recorded yourselves bullying an elderly deaf woman. That's not just mean. That's criminal." The teens lowered their heads. But instead of calling the authorities immediately, Bishop surprised everyone. "You want to fix this?" he asked calmly. "Then you're gonna spend the next hour making things right." The boys looked confused. First, Bishop said. You clean her notebook and rewrite every page you ruined. Word for word. Maddie handed the teens napkins, a towel, and a spare notebook from her bike bag. Under the watchful eyes of 10 bikers, the boys sat on the curb, copying every written message Evelyn had ever used, store lists, emergency contacts, common phrases she relied on daily. The humiliation they had tried to inflict on her now weighed on them instead. Meanwhile, Maddie guided Evelyn into the diner, but the bikers escorted her like family. Customers inside stood and clapped softly, offering their support. The waitress, Patty, wiped a tear. Evelyn, honey, we got your table ready. Bishop pulled out a chair for her. You sit. We'll handle the rest. Outside, the teens worked in silence. When they finally finished, Bishop inspected the notebook and nodded. Now apologize. Kyle approached Evelyn cautiously. I'm sorry, he muttered. Look at her, Bishop commanded. Kyle lifted his eyes, guilt weighing heavily on him. I'm sorry for hurting you. It won't happen again. Maddie translated. Evelyn nodded gently, though her eyes still glistened. She signed, I forgive you, and Maddie voiced it aloud. The boys looked stunned. Bishop then placed a strong hand on Kyle's shoulder. You're lucky she's kinder than you deserve. As the teens hurried away, Bishop and his bikers took their seats around Evelyn. They ordered breakfast, chatted with her through Maddie's signing, and made sure she felt safe. From that day forward, the Iron Guardians made it a routine to stop at Ridgeview Diner every Sunday, not for the food, but to ensure Evelyn was never alone again. And no one in Flagstaff ever bothered her again.